minds, so today we got the announcement of our next Guild Quest schedule, this time starting on the 17th, so just a week away, and we'll be covering every single Guild Quest phase that we will be getting all the way till January 25th, and this is important to know. In case you are new to the game, Guild Quest schedules are important because it does indicate, one, what characters will be returning, because KLab like to release banners when their Guild Quest is active, and it also potentially hints at what killers we will see in upcoming banners, like the upcoming Aizen and Bambietta banner. This of course includes end of month November, and also the big banner a lot of us are saving for, end of year, which most of us are hoping is Bankai Shinsui. So I think these videos are important because it does let you potentially save for certain characters. You know, if you're in need of a potential melee sniper killer, well, you might be wanting to save for end of year. If you do want, for example, renewed Aizen, well, it seems he's returning sometime soon. Just again, based on the Guild Quest schedule. So that's why we make videos like this. So with that said, let's talk about the upcoming Guild Quest phases. First one that is coming up is kind of surprising, but maybe to be fair, it's about time. So next week's Guild Quest phase is going to consist of the Melee Espada Guild Quest and also Melee Hollow Guild Quest. Now this is also going to be the extra special limited time GQ, where of course the enemy's HP is buffed. There's going to be the 200% status pulls on the floor. And it's also going to offer 600 million score. It's actually our first time getting this, I believe, for a mid-month. Normally, this has just been end-of-month stuff. So with that, of course, it does mean the upcoming mid-month banner, which we know is going to be an exciting banner, at least character-wise, because it's character we voted for. Spirit Society Aizen and Orient Society Bambietta. The interesting one here, though, I guess, is that we are finally getting a new Melee Espada killer. And that's important to note because what you will see is that we've only received since 9th anniversary, I guess, we've only received 2 Melee Espada killers because one, Misaki's a really good support, even outside of a Guild Quest phase, but man, Kenpachi is just that good of a unit that, you know, a year would have to pass. At this point, almost a year and a half has passed since this character came out. And we might finally be getting a character that is somewhat better than Kenpachi. The way this character works, especially as an anniversary unit, his damage output is absolutely insane with the weakening, the lacerates, one of the best EX moves in the game, one of the best kits for Guild Quest 2, especially with that strong attack 3. Kenpachi has been holding down the Melee Espada Guild Quest since its release, and that's kind of a good thing because, you know, this Guild Quest phase was actually relatively hard until this character came out and made it super trivial. So with this upcoming Guild Quest phase, the one thing this new character will have over Kenpachi, regardless of what damage output or strong attacks they are going to have, is going to be the 200% resistance. That's something to keep in mind. You know, maybe if this new character that does come out can't rival Kenpachi's scores, he might have an easier time getting those scores because of that 200% resistance. Of course, through the attribute tree system, we can now give Kenpachi 200% resistance, which is one evolved accessory. So it might lower his damage output a tad bit, but you're probably going to be fine, truth be told. And even then, with the way the status and pulls do work, you're potentially fine using a character as a main without the 200% resistance, as you can decide where to stand. It might not be as smooth as what we were used to with the 100% resistance, but, you know, the 200% resistance is more so for the side characters because they're auto-controlled. They walk onto the status pools. They're going to get inflicted. When using Kenpachi, depending how the positioning is, you can probably be fine without 200% resistance. Especially because he's over a year old, right? You might have him max transcended. So this upcoming character, whoever it's going to be, the Melee Espada killer, has big shoes to fill. Really big shoes to fill because this character's damage output is insane. Even with the Guild Quest buffing, he clears super fast, especially if you have him max transcended. So for me right now, my question is that upcoming character at 1 out of 5 going to be better than my max transcended Kenpachi? I'll be surprised if he is. Or she, because again, it could be Aizen or Bambietta. I guess they could be a power unit to have some advantage against Kenpachi, but again, Kenpachi is such a power of a unit, I highly doubt the attribute disadvantage will actually hurt him that much. Maybe it will though, I guess we'll find out next week. But that's for the upcoming Guild Quest phase, so right now, it's pretty much between Aizen or Bambietta that is going to be this character. My first opinion is that it's most likely going to be Orient Society Bambietta. Therefore meaning, by the way, that she is going to be a strong attack damage character, because they're not going to be adding a normal attack damage character for this Guild Quest phase. They don't need it. And I'm only saying that because based on the visuals that we have gotten with the artwork, Bambietta seems to be more likely a melee character. Aizen to me seems ranged, so I'm not expecting him to be that new Melee Espada killer. But in that same week, we are also getting the Melee Hollow Guild Quest again, so that's pretty much timed just in time for Nemu's individual banner. So if you did miss out on that character, her individual banner is coming up. You can summon for her there and take her back into Guild Quest. The following week, though, is going to be Range Squad 0 and a Range Espada. Quickly looking at Range Espada, like with Nemu, that is pretty much just promoting Yachiru's individual banner. I'm pretty sure Range Espada starts the same day Yachiru's individual does start, so this isn't going to be indicating a new character, just indicating, Yachiru's return, or more so individual. However, Range Squad 0 is soon after, on the 24th, so this could be for no one. At the same time, though, it could be for a new character, again, releasing in the mid-month. So assuming Orient Society Bambietta is going to be the melee character, she's the melee Espada killer, maybe Aizen is going to be a ranged Squad 0 killer. And if we have a look at the ranged Squad 0 killers, I'll be surprised if they do try and replace Ichigo, the full hollow version. What this Guild Quest phase needs more so is definitely a normal attack damage character. As much as I would love for Spirit Society Aizen to be a strong attack damage too, I think it's likely he's going to be a normal attack damage character, because this Guild Quest phase does not have a team booster, and a lot of the normal attack damage characters we have been getting have been coming with really good team effects, again like a team boost. So right now, that's what the Guild Quest phase needs more, even though I would prefer if both Bambietta and Aizen are strong attack damage characters. But right now, again, at least to me, based on what I'm seeing here, it's most likely going to be a normal attack damage character. And maybe it makes sense. I know Aizen is the more popular character of the two, but he still does have a really good strong attack damage character in the renewed Aizen remake. So that pretty much covers you in terms of a playable strong attack damage Aizen. When it comes to Bambietta, though, in her defense, even though she does have some good characters, her last character was the zombie Bambietta, and even though she was a playable SP unit, she's basically not playable whatsoever. So I feel like this potential Orient Society Bambietta is more so trying to make up for how bad this character was when she released a year ago. So maybe that's why they're making Aizen the Naj unit and making Bambietta the Sad unit. Following that, though, we are going to get the melee Quincy Guild Quest and also ranged no affiliation Guild Quests. Now, I think we can say with safety that the melee Quincy killer is definitely hinting at a new character, in this case, for the end of the month of November. It's timed perfectly. This is most likely going to be a 600 million score Guild Quest phase. And again, this is kind of surprising because this is another really powerful unit. In this case, Ichigo is almost in the same as Kenpachi as the go-to great in Brave Souls when it comes to Guild Quest scores. They can get the highest Guild Quest scores super fast. Even with all this Guild Quest buffing, it's hardly affected them. It's definitely going to affect Ichigo the least because he's a hard character. He's never going to have attribute disadvantage. They can kind of nerf Kenpachi by making that new melee Espada killer a power unit, so therefore Kenpachi has attribute disadvantage. When it comes to Ichigo, though, he's a hard character. He's not going to have that. So whatever this character is going to be for November end of month, once more, very big shoes to fill because this character is great. And even then, what we can see too is that they're most likely just going to be used as a side unit. I mean, Ichigo has really good strong attacks. If he inflicts weakening, assuming this new character, this new melee Quincy killer, doesn't have weakening themselves, it just allows them both to deal more damage. So Ichigo is likely going to be moved as a side unit, or maybe you're still going to use him as a main if you don't pull on that end of month banner. Once more, the big thing here is going to be the 200% resistance. This character is going to lack it. And unfortunately, unlike Kenpachi, because this Ichigo has 100% immunity, you still need to give this character 2 items to be immune to stat elements, because the attribute tree system doesn't take it up to 120. But once more, like I said with Kenpachi, right, you can probably just use him still as a main. You just have to be careful where you are standing. But like I said, this Enderman character definitely has big shoes to fill because this is another super powerful character that is eventually going to become a filler and more likely to be max transcended versus whatever that unit is going to be. But yeah, I definitely see Millie Quincy being for a new character. Now, in that same banner for end of month November, we could potentially get a ranged no affiliation killer. Although I'm a bit hesitant on that because we have just received 2 recent ranged no affiliation killers, a strong attack damage character, a normal attack damage character. So for this upcoming end of month banner, we can't really predict what killers they will have. We can only really say for certain there will be a melee Quincy killer. Most likely, this is going to be a rerun for Noelle, Nini, and also Macy. So for those that want another chance to get Nini, Noelle, Macy, Burn the Witch characters, potentially, again, not guaranteed here, just based off the schedule, they should be returning. And again, I think that's likely because the following Guild Quest phase is going to be the melee Aaroniero Guild Quest, where of course you do want to use Swimsuit Nini. Continuing on with that, we then have the ranged Quincy Guild Quest. So once more, with these two phases happening back to back, this likely confirms we are getting Renji, Oryu, and also Jushiro's first rerun. Now this one's also a bit weird, to be fair, because we do have Nuo and Nini coming out before them potentially, even though they release a whole month later. But Burn the Witch characters never follow like a strict schedule. They can come back after 6 months or after 2 months. So maybe there's a chance Noah and Nini aren't going to return, but again, it seems likely. But I would say for certain that, yeah, Jushiro, Renji, and also Oryu, part 2 of the 10th anniversary banner will be happening December 11th to December 15th. Around that time, that banner phase should be up. And to be fair, this does actually check out. If we use last year's banner as an example, Sergeant Tosha and Soifun were in the part 2 anniversary slot. They came back November 27th. So technically, this one's actually later than usual. So yeah, pretty much confirmed that if you want Jushiro, Renji, or Uryu, they'll be seen early to mid-December. Following that though, in the same week as a Range Quincy Guild Quest, then we will also then have the Melee Squad 0 Guild Quest phase. This is in time for the mid-month banner. So likely what we are going to see here is a new Melee Squad 0 killer. And this will also be the final banner before the big end of year banner. So pretty much the last bit of bait, at least in terms of new characters. But when it comes to the Melee Squad 0 Guild Quest phase, they are also relatively fine. You know, you can use Mayuri, you can use Rukia, you also have access to Shunsui, but obviously there's no 200% resistance unit here, so that's likely going to be that character filling that spot. Now the week after, we will then have the Ranged Human Guild Quest and also Ranged Hollow Guild Quests. Potentially that mid-month banner with the Melee Squad 0 killer, we could see a ranged Hollow killer. Right now I have that spot blank because it doesn't really tell us anything. Maybe it is, I'm kind of forgetting someone potentially. But what's most likely happening that week is that December 22nd, we will be getting our first rerun for 10th anniversary Ichigo. So if you missed the 10th anniversary banner, this is going to be your next chance to get them, because the following week, ranged Stamritter will also be present on the 29th. Now I guess the better question is, how are these characters going to return? Because the way anniversary characters return for the first time is on the post-election banner. This is the banner that we get to vote for. In terms of characters that released in the last year, we vote who is going to be in the upcoming banner. The thing is though, especially last year, we didn't get that. More so because we've been getting so many Blood War banners and they can't really, you know, do a selection Blood War banner. Although I think they should. This year, we also saw a lot of limited time banners, so we're most likely not going to get post-election again. But in its replacement, they do a anniversary highlight summon that does feature characters released in pretty much the last 2 years. It's their choice, they select the characters, but last year was actually a pretty decent selection. So we could see the same thing again this year. 10th anniversary Ichigo, 10th anniversary Rukia, with some other good characters that were released in the last year. It's kind of unknown now whether you want to summon on that or not, because again, we need to see the filler pool. Keep in mind though, this banner is pretty much like the last big banner before end of year. It's normally like a Christmas summons that releases around Christmas time, and it is always a 7-step banner. So it's really only something you should be summoning on if you have a lot of orbs, and more so if you have enough orbs to pity for end of year, and can also afford to summon on that upcoming selection banner. But now let's talk about the end of year banner, right? Because finally we have the killers confirmed here. So the next week, in the same week more so as the Rukia Guild Quest phase, Melee Stamritter, we are also getting the Melee Soul Reaper Guild Quest. That is on the 1st of January 2026. So this pretty much confirms, at least to me, this end of year banner is going to feature a Melee Soul Reaper killer. And personally, I think that might be best case scenario for an end of year banner. Again, when it comes to big characters like end of year anniversary, you always want them to be in a killer that needs it the most. That's pretty much always how end of year and anniversaries in general have worked. Not only is it going to be a very exciting and popular character from a big moment in Blood War, for example, it's also going to be an attribute and killer combination that needs the most. That way, you're more inclined to summon for them, even if you potentially don't like the character. Now, when it comes to most Guild Quest phases, the Mini Soul Reaper Guild Quest definitely needs some new characters, and I'm saying this as someone with a max Transcended Giselle. The last time we had the Melee Soul Reaper Guild Quest, it didn't have access to like that many great characters. It's pretty much just Basby and also Giselle as the main leads, and both of them pretty much get the same score. Not crazy fast. So for me, if I was to be most excited for an end of year character, I probably would want them to be a Melee Soul Reaper killer. And again, right now, I want to see Bankai Shunti for end of year, and I would love for him to be a Melee Soul Reaper killer. It'd be really cool if he was a power killer too, or a power character more so. I guess he doesn't have to be a power character, but maybe it's just a weird coincidence. But you know, Kenpachi is a melee Espada killer, and then his lieutenant is a ranged Espada killer. That being Yachi, right? So it would be funny if they do another coincidence where, you know, we recently just got a ranged Soul Reaper killer in now. So imagine they do the same thing where this time we get Shunsui, but he's a Soripa melee character. And that's what I would like to see for end of year. Again, his attribute can pretty much be anything. Although more so I would like to see Heart of Minds. And that's just more so for future longevity, especially if this character ever gets hypothetically replaced in the future a year from now. If they're a Heart or Mind character, they're never going to have attribute disadvantage, so they stay better long term. But if we go back to the schedule, and the better question now is, what would the second character be? Because we know it's going to be a 3-character banner. One of them is going to be a Brave Battle unit. Who is the second character going to be? Because the schedule's a bit awkward, where the banner itself drops in the second phase. So does that mean the following phase, the next week essentially, will be also hinting at a new character, in this case a melee captain killer? Potentially. I mean, I wouldn't want to see Senjima replaced already. She definitely can get replaced though. I mean, it pretty much has been almost a year since we last received a captain killer. But for me personally, again, when it comes to end of year banners, I don't want to see at least Guild Quest skills. You know, maybe the second character in the banner, let's just assume Liege, Bankayama, that's what I want to see, right? Is another captain killer. Hopefully they aren't like Senjima where they have Guild Quest skills. Because that was always my problem with this unit. If you're going to release a unit during a big celebration that has less relevant killer like Captain, Squad Zero, Sturmritter, etc., I want them to be like Anniversary Aizen and Byaku's renewed versions where they're really powerful regardless of their killer effect. Like, I actually use this character a lot, especially when up against Soripas, and his killer hasn't really hurt him that much. And that's because he does have good damage output and isn't restricted to Guild Quest content. So I'm hoping they don't make the same mistake they did with Senjimura last year by giving her Guild Quest skills. But after that, it's just a bunch of reruns. So in this case, Range Captain and Sturmritter is happening back to back. Obviously implying that Byaku and Aizen are going to be returning in the, early stages of January. So if you want those characters or you're missing them, maybe that's a good time to get them. January 15th, before the mid-month banner does release, we are going to have the Melee Human Guild Quest. This could be for no one. Doesn't have to be for a single character, but maybe it's implying that Kubo playable art Rangiku is returning. I mean, that should be the round time they return, but at the same time, this is a new type of banner, right? It's not technically Blood War. Maybe they are going to be treated as Blood War characters, but we have no idea right now, since it is a new thing, how the Kubo playable art characters are going to rerun and what's going to happen to them when they become old enough to become fillers. Hopefully they get put into Blood War banners because they are good characters and the characters that I don't own. After that though, Range Super Guild Quest will be happening January 19th. Likely hinting at a new character, especially one that is going to release for that mid-month banner. And then at near the end of the month more so, but the end of the schedule, we are going to have the Melee No Affiliation Guild Quest. This is most likely indicating 1000 Year Blood War Yoruichi, Raijin Senkai Yoruichi, also Chad and Ganju, their return. Again, if we go by last year's spot, they also do return around this time, so this checks out. And with that, that's pretty much the Guild Quest in a nutshell, going over all the returning characters and what new characters we might potentially see. Me personally, I'm very interested to see how the Amelia Espada killer character is going to turn out, because again, big shoes to fill trying to potentially replace Kenpachi. I'm sure I'll be fine with my Kenpachi if I don't pull that new character, because I think I am skipping the banner. And then again, the Melee Quincy killer, where we have Ichigo. A new character is potentially going to try and replace him, so I'm curious to see how that character is going to pan out. Because if their damage isn't high enough, people are probably going to be comfortable using the old characters, Kenpachi and also Ichigo. Even with the lack of 200% immunity, all it takes is better movement and you should be fine. But in terms of the end of year banner, the banner that I'm focused on right now, I am liking that we are potentially getting a new melee striker killer. Not a big fan of a melee captain killer, even though, I would like to take a new unit. Me personally, I just want to see both characters be really good and have more relevant killers. But maybe they can still have a captain killer and still also be one of the best characters in the game. I guess only time will tell. Either way, hope you liked and enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.